let's just quickly take a little detour and talk about this Lilith Hersperax model because, as I said, I finished it up yesterday. It's kind of like the last thing I wanted to finish up for my challenge of during January to finish up some models. So let's talk about this right here. Right here. I wonder. Let's see. By the way, see this? This is the thing that I built to rotate my models. See that? If I'm recording like a video and I want my model to spin around. This is a little too close to the camera, but yeah. This is how I've been taking like a rotating picture of my model. I built this whole Lego thing. The angle isn't so good for this right now. Maybe what I'll do is kind of tweak the camera a bit. Let's see if we can do that. Just a slightly tweaked camera. No, that's not really gonna do. I'll just talk about it just like this. Okay, let's straighten out this camera a bit. Alright guys, so here we have Lilith Hersperax. This is the final model from my challenge that I set out for myself at the beginning of January to finish a bunch of stuff that I had lying around. This whole effort to really kind of get back into painting Warhammer is mostly driven by the need to finish up models that are that have been in my backlog for years, if not decades. And that's Lilith Hersperax. The other models that I had included the Eldar Guardians, which I finished, and the goblins. I had about 36 of those goblins that I wanted to finish, and this model here, which was voted for on my Instagram, and you can get to my Instagram at RayOhobby, REYOHOBBY, and I occasionally will ask people who follow me on there, what model should I paint next? So if you want to have input on what I paint next, hop on over to my Instagram. This one, amongst some other models that I had in nomination, such as some savage orcs and other stuff like that, but I guess the sexy half-naked lady kind of won out for obvious reasons. So this model, again, is quite old. I'm not really sure how old, but I'm pretty sure the sculptor is Chris Fitzpatrick. And I've kind of come around to his work in recent days. I had said earlier I was kind of hit and miss, but this model, the more I painted it, the more I kind of had fun with it. So yeah, I should take a look at some other models. I'm pretty sure I have other Chris Fitzpatrick models that I can work on, because yeah, I ended up really liking it. And yes, I have mentioned this before, but just to reiterate, this model was kind of in a bad state before I started to work on it. Her leg was missing, this leg here. It was missing pretty much since the day I bought the miniature. I was cleaning the parts, kind of washing it, and it went down the drain. And then this back part here was missing for a good long while, until just recently, a few days ago, I was looking through some storage, looking through some boxes of miniatures, and I was like, oh, here it is. This is it. This is the back spiky thing, finally. And I had kind of painted this model with the intention of just leaving this out, and I felt like the model looked pretty good without it. And now that it has it on, it kind of changes the dynamic of it. At least when you look at it from the side, it kind of has more of a presence from the profile view as opposed to the straight on view. When you're looking at it straight on, I feel like this back spiky thing doesn't add much. And the other thing, and again I have mentioned this before, is that this arm here, I repositioned it to be like this, so that the model kind of has a flowing feel of this arm flowing down to here. And previously the arm would have just been oriented this way, kind of just jutting out. And I think that might look good if this was in some kind of diorama where she's like, on top of a pile of bodies or something, like a bunch of dead bodies of of humans and orcs and something like that, and she's like stabbing down on them or something. But as a single model here, I feel like this pose has a bit more of a bit more presence. And yeah, generally, I'm mostly happy with this model. I've been trying to get better at non-metallic metal, trying to use paint to convey like the look of metallics without having to use metallic paint. And I'm not 100% happy with how everything turned out. I feel like many parts of this model could be improved, but it's one of those things where rather than continually working on this sword, for example, let's just leave it at that. And then for the next model, maybe I'll try to hopefully do a better job, right? Because it gets to a certain point where this is going to become far too overworked, and I feel like I'm very close to that already. Like this, I constantly was working on this area, trying to make it look good and changing it, and yeah, I was getting the feeling like the paint was just kind of piling up and up and up, and we're getting to a point where the texture of the paint is kind of becoming an issue, like the brush strokes, even though I do tend to thin out my paint. So yeah, it's a learning process. Even with the metal here, like for her bikini, for example, I was trying to understand how I was going to paint this as like a red chrome kind of feeling for the bikini, and I feel like it's not 100% there. In fact, it's maybe not even 60 or 50% there. But nevertheless, I'll just leave it at that. Like we'll just we'll just uh, try again for another model to pull this off. But overall, I'm mostly happy with it, and I hope that the people who voted for this miniature, I hope they like how it looks. I'll post some pictures of this up very soon on my Instagram. The other thing I'll quickly note is that I always tell myself that I should do the eyes, that I should work on the eyes first before anything else, right? And I keep forgetting to do that. And so I was nearly finished this model. I was like, okay, time to paint the eyes. And I was getting like, I just couldn't do it. It was just so hard to get in there with the paint without ruining everything else. So I was like, you know what? Let's just leave it alone then. Let's just leave it alone, and we'll come back to that. We'll just remember again to do the eyes separately another time. But yeah, there's Lilith Hersperax. Do you guys have any tips or ideas on how I can make this better? How to improve my non-metallic metal skills? If you do, leave some comments below. Thanks again, and I'll see you later. All right.